some U.S. Navy warships are getting another option to counter unmanned aircraft systems, or drones. And the best part is, it didn't cost the taxpayers tens of millions of dollars or take a decade to develop.
In modern warfare, drones have become a powerful force, capable of turning the tide of battle at a fraction of the cost of traditional weapons. These small, low-maintenance machines can take out high-value targets with devastating precision. But what if the U.S. Navy has found a way to neutralize this growing threat? That's exactly what has happened. By repurposing existing assets, Navy engineers have developed a groundbreaking drone-killing system, one that transforms aging warships into formidable defenders against unmanned aerial threats. Today's episode will uncover how the U.S. Navy is transforming its littoral combat ships into drone killers, and how game-changing this development is. In today's world, drones play a mighty role in modern warfare. A low-cost, low-maintenance drone can potentially wipe out a number of impactful targets that may change the tides of conflict. But what if we told you the U.S. Navy has cracked the code to counter these drones? That's right. The Navy minds produced a game-changing drone killer that utilizes old assets and gives them a new, huge purpose. Today's episode will uncover how the U.S. Navy is transforming its littoral combat ships into drone killers, and how game-changing this development is. The United States Navy has found a huge new role for its littoral combat ships, LCS, a fleet that has long been criticized for its high costs. In a world where modern naval warfare is increasingly defined by drones and missile threats, the U.S. Navy is primed and ready to work on its old 3,000-ton warships. Now, in a move that no one could have thought of, the Navy is transforming some of them into highly agile drone hunters. To achieve this, the Navy is arming some LCSs with a modified version of the Hellfire missile, an anti-tank weapon originally designed for helicopters, but now adapted for countering aerial threats. This means that a ship once designed primarily for near-shore operations, and often not used for real naval combat, is now being repurposed to play an important role in protecting U.S. interests overseas. The USS Indianapolis, one of the 10 Freedom-class LCSs, became the first to receive these specialized Hellfire missiles during its recent deployment to the Middle East. There, U.S. and allied forces have been engaged in a battle against Houthi missiles and drones, while also keeping an eye on potential threats from Iran. Although the Indianapolis did not fire its new weapons in combat, its deployment served a different but equally important purpose, proving that the ship is capable of engaging and neutralizing enemy drones. This is no small feat. The LCS program has faced a lot of backlash over the years due to rising costs, mechanical issues, and questions about whether these ships were ever truly necessary. The Freedom-class LCSs were originally built for surface warfare, primarily engaging smaller boats at close range. As such, they were already equipped with 24 vertical launchers for Hellfire missiles, along with 57mm cannons and rolling airframe missiles, RAM, for short-range air defense. However, these Hellfires were initially designed to target boats, not aerial threats. Modifying them for drone defense required technical adjustments, but now the same missiles that once specialized in sinking small enemy vessels can be used to shoot down fast-moving drones. The importance of this change is going to be huge. Naval warfare has evolved a lot in the recent few years, with drones emerging as a serious threat. Rival nations and militant groups alike are using swarms of low-cost, high-impact drones to target ships, radar stations, and even troops on the ground. These unmanned threats are difficult to detect, hard to intercept, and capable of causing tons of damage at a fraction of the cost of usual air power. This shift in warfare has forced the U.S. Navy to adapt quickly, and arming the LCS fleet with drone-killing Hellfires is a step in the right direction. Now, you might be thinking, why go through all this effort to modify the LCS, a ship class that has been widely criticized? The answer is a strategic approach. The U.S. Navy is currently stretched thin, facing an increasingly assertive China and a rising number of challenges in the Middle East and beyond. While the LCS was originally built for different missions, the Navy cannot afford to let expensive warships sit idle. By changing them as drone interceptors, the military is maximizing its existing assets and ensuring that these ships contribute to the fight. The decision to uparm the LCS fleet is part of a strategy the U.S. is thinking to counter threats like China. The service is equipping some Independence-class LCSs with minesweeping gear, allowing them to detect and neutralize underwater threats. Also, both variants of the LCS are now being equipped with anti-ship missile launchers and even long-range land attack missiles, making them more versatile than ever before. However, these modifications do come with some limitations. Since the LCSs are small and lack the large vertical launch systems found on larger destroyers and cruisers, their ability to engage high-altitude threats remains limited. They also don't have the powerful Aegis radar system, which means they cannot coordinate complex missile defenses the way larger U.S. warships can. But we know the U.S. Navy will be able to work on these limitations. For years, a lot of critics have said these ships to be expensive mistakes, too lightly armed, too fragile, and too unreliable to be useful in real combat. Now, as the Navy works on their firepower and changes their mission, there is a changed purpose for these vessels. For decades, American naval power has been defined by large aircraft carriers, heavily armed destroyers, and nuclear submarines. But as warfare changes and rivals turn to different tactics, such as using drone swarms and small, fast-moving missile boats, the Navy is realizing that adapting to current needs is just as important as proper force. Now you might be thinking, why did the U.S. decide to do this now? After all, it remains the most powerful naval force in the world. But power alone is not enough. China, in particular, has been rapidly expanding its naval capabilities, boasting the largest fleet in the world by sheer number of ships. While many of these vessels are not as technologically advanced as their American rivals, China's strategy is built around quantity and regional dominance. The U.S. plans to fight just that, especially when it comes to defending allies like Taiwan or ensuring peace in places such as the South China Sea. By enhancing the combat capabilities of every ship in the fleet, including the often criticized LCS, the Navy is ensuring that it remains prepared for future conflicts. The transformation of the LCS into a drone hunting platform also shows another big aspect of modern warfare: the growing importance of adaptability to modern warfare. The days of designing warships to last 50 years with minimal upgrades are over. Now, success in battle depends on how quickly a military can work on new technologies, adjust strategies, and transform existing assets. The Navy's decision to turn the LCS into a drone interceptor is an example of this strategy in action. With much about how the U.S. Navy is transforming its littoral combat ships into drone killers and how game-changing this development is covered, it is time to wrap this one up. If you have any topics in mind, comment below and we will cover them for you.